so this movie opened with a dude with a briefcase full of money, and then he just starts eating bingo balls, and he dies. So I think that was a pretty good indication of how this movie was going to go. Anyway, Bingo Hell follows Lupita and her little gang of elderly friends, and one younger guy out of nowhere, and a kid, because, you know, at least one of them has to have a grandkid, and she's just angry at everything. Everything is changing in her neighborhood, and she's super mad because gentrification and just everything is changing, and she hates it. One thing I kind of found weird was that everybody kind of followed Lupita like she was a fucking mob boss or something, so that was kind of weird, especially since, you know, a little later on, they're like, oh, you're the reason we're gonna fucking die here. It's like, wait a minute, didn't you just worship her like 20 minutes ago? Anyway, some dude buys the bingo hall and turns it into this fancy thing where people are winning money and also dying in really weird ways. Like the first woman, she wins like $10,000, I think it was, promptly abandons her son and then rips her skin off in a hotel room. That seemed really confusing. I'm not really sure what happened there, to be honest with you. And then the other winner drinks fucking motor oil and gets chopped up by the engine of an old car. It's like, what is happening here? Of course, the movie ends with, you know, the community coming together and beating the hell out of this guy who bought the bingo hall, played by Richard Brake, and everything is fine and dandy. So, this movie makes absolutely no sense. None whatsoever. What the hell was Richard Brake? Was he a demon? Was he like a fucking human-sized leprechaun? That's why he had so much money? It was just really confusing. Especially since, you know, he gets shot and he's spitting up like a green goo as like a blood. But then as he gets the shit beat out of him, his wounds on his face are regular crimson colored. So what color is his blood? I'm so confused. And why did this character played by Brake, who is just known as Mr. Big, why did he target this town and want to kill the people of this little community? Like, absolutely nothing is explained. I like weird and dumb horror movies, but this one might take the cake. It's not as bad as, say, something like Killer Pinata. That one was horrible. But this is pretty bad. Everybody overacts horribly. The only person who was even remotely decent in their role was Richard Brake, but that's only because he plays deranged very, very well. So moral of the story is, this movie is bad. I give it a D-. Not an F, only because Richard Brake is good in this role, but then again, he's always good at playing fucking weird and psycho characters, so I guess that's not really par for the course. There's vampires in New Orleans, and they're only attacking homeless people? So this movie gave off major Philadelphia vibes. If you don't know what Philadelphia is, it is an Image Comics series written by Rodney Barnes with art from Jason Shawn Alexander. Basically, it's an ancient vampire, in this case, John Adams, Abigail Adams, Thomas Jefferson. Already piquing your interest, right? Pick it up. They're building an army of vampires to take over the world. Now, this does differ a little bit in that the main vampire is a former slave who is bitten by a vampire, who eats his former slave owner, and then just rises from the ranks. But as we discover, there's actually covens of vampires, all of which have apparently found alternate means of surviving, aka not eating humans, except for this one guy who is ordering all of his vampires to eat and kill and turn the homeless to create a army of homeless vampires. What? This movie does have its moments, though. Like, the very first time we see a vampire die, it's actually pretty humorous, the way they go about it, and the way it's shot, the way it's acted. I thought it was actually pretty good. There's also a sequence where, a couple of the kids, they're running through this mansion just throwing shakers of garlic at vampires. And I don't know if it was intended to be funny, but it was absolutely hysterical. The movie itself is actually pretty well acted, especially from the lead, who I forgot to look up. I probably should have before I did this, but whatever. I think she is great. Keith David, the legendary Keith David from The Thing, from They Live. He has a small part, but he is fantastic in it. Black as Night is actually an overall fun movie. It is way better than I expected. It is 1,000,000 times better than Bingo Hell. And, I actually enjoyed it. But because the movie can't really figure out whether it's a horror or a comedy or a mix of both, because it doesn't really successfully mix the two. And because it really is just kind of a cheap imitation of Philadelphia, I'm giving Black as Night a C+. It is a fun movie. At best, it is a decent movie. If you like vampires, you might enjoy it, but it is by no means anything spectacular.
Did you enjoy the review? Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to get notified when more reviews go live. Feel free to leave a comment to discuss your thoughts on the movie or show, and I will see you next time.